Hello everyone, how you are doing? So in this tutorial I'm going to show you 3 different ways I make scrunchies. So you're going to need your fabric. Mine measures 28 inches long by 6 inches wide, but it's up to you. You can make it 20 inches, 22 by 5 by 4. It's up to you. You could just try out different length and see how you like it, but my elastic is usually between 9 to 10 inches. So I'm just going to sew my fabric lengthwise, but I'm going to leave 2" at the top and 2" before I get to the bottom, so the top and the bottom will be open. So I'm just going to stitch along like so. Make sure your fabric is facing right side, so you can see I've left the top and the bottom undone. So we're just going to turn the fabric right side out. I'm using my scissors. If you're going to use your scissors to do this, be very careful so you don't poke your fabric. Right, so now we're going to get each end and then join them. I'm just going to pin them together so it's easier to sew. You could actually do this without even pinning if you're used to, once you get used to doing it this way. But so I've done that. I'll just show you again. So you grab the top and the bottom, make sure they align well, and then pin from one edge to the other. So basically the fabric will be turning their back against each other. So we're just doing it like that. I hope that makes sense. I had to do it twice because sometimes it can look a bit confusing, but I think if you're sewing whilst you're watching it and you're doing the same thing at the same time, it will make sense. Sometimes when you're watching a sewing video and you haven't started doing yours, it might look a bit confusing. So I'm just going to sew along where I've pinned my fabric, and yes, that's it really. That's our first scrunchie done. And there you have it. That's our first scrunchie done. And you can see there's a gap there, and through that gap we're going to insert our elastic. Now moving on to the next style of scrunchie, we're folding our fabric another way this time. So we're folding it widthwise. I'm going to fold it that way and then turning it to the wrong side. I'm actually using the old cushion cover for this. That's why you can see there's 2 stitching on this. So I'm just going to fold the top bit into the middle and just I'm just moving out of the way, because what I am going to do is sew those 2 fabric. So I'm going to join it and pin them together. Make sure you don't catch the fabric you folded in the middle in the pin, because we're just trying to sew those 2 fabric at the top, or at the bottom should I say, because the top part is folded in the middle. So I'm just going to sew along that way. I'm going to show you this whilst I'm sewing, because whilst you're sewing you have to pull the middle once you get towards the end, as you will see in a minute. But take your time, make sure you're not sewing the folded fabric in the middle. And as you can see, we've got the middle part. Just pull it out a little bit and continue sewing. So we'll keep pulling and pulling until we get to the end. We'll keep going. And then we'll pull the fabric again. Pull. Be careful not to get the middle part caught in the sewing machine needle. Okay, and we'll pull again until we get to the end, but make sure you don't stitch everything shut. We're going to leave about an inch gap, so we'll be able to turn our fabric right side out. Until we get to the end, like so. I've left everything in on purpose so you can see what I'm doing, because this one is very different to the others. It might look complicated, but it's not really. It really isn't. When you try it, just play the video along whilst you're doing it. Can you see the gap there? We're going to turn it right side out. Once you sew whilst you're watching at the same time, sometimes I find that might be a bit easier that way to understand. And you have a little gap to push your elastic through. And last but not least, I'm going to show you another way, and this style is actually different to those two scrunchies we made. This is actually like the easiest one, I think anyway. It's very easy. Sew along the edge like so, and then you're going to fold in about a 1/4 inch from the edge of each fabric. Best thing is to iron this. I haven't ironed it in this video, but I think it's much easier, much quicker to iron it down so it stays down. So as you can see, I'm struggling there because I haven't ironed the edges. I was rushing when I was making this video, but so iron the edges down and then join the edges. So basically you're folding the fabric in half, like so. We're going to do that all the way around. It would have been much easier if you iron the edge. So when you're doing yours, make sure you iron the edge. So basically you just iron, when you iron it, the raw edges will be inside. Okay, so it's the wrong sides facing each other with this one, because we're going to top stitch all the way around, leaving about an inch or 2 inch gap. So I'm just pinning that down. If I had ironed it, I probably won't even need pins and things like that, but here we are. So I'm just going to sew that all the way around, leave a gap, and now find your midpoint of your fabric, fold it in half like I'm doing. You can iron it to make the line more visible, or you can use a chalk, it's up to you, but find the midpoint, and then from the midpoint you mark 1/4 inch at the top and at the bottom of that midpoint. I hope that makes sense. So you're trying to make a casing for your elastic, and what we're going to do is sew round, but find where the opening, remember the opening we left, find where that opening is, and then the first stitch we're going to make, we're going to leave a gap there, so we'll be able to thread our elastic through once everything is ready. So make sure you don't stitch the first line close to the opening. Make sure you don't stitch everything all the way around. Leave about 2 inch gap by that opening, and then the line at the bottom, you can sew that all the way around. You don't need to leave a gap at the stitching for the bottom. So we've inserted our elastic. I'm just pinning the the other end of the elastic to the fabric so it doesn't go all the way through. Just going to stitch our elastic with a zigzag stitch, and there you go, and that's it. Your scrunchie is ready. As you can see, it's a different style of scrunchie, and I'm going to just stitch, close both gaps. I'm just inserting the elastic for the other scrunchies. Zigzag stitch. Remember to always use zigzag stitch for your elastic, and I've just done a blind stitch. Some people top stitch the opening. It's up to you what you want to do, but I prefer blind stitch so that everything just, you know, looks seamless. So that's why I prefer a blind stitch. And there you have it, our scrunchies. Which is your favorite? Let me know. And which one will you be trying? Do let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, like if you like the videos, comment, share, and do all this fun stuff. Take care, guys.